Okay, so yesterday we started by working with red and green complementary colors, and then red through yellow analogous colors on our color blending. And when we started in the A, we didn't actually ink anything out before we started coloring. And then I kind of noticed as I was working that was kind of mucking up the colored pencil a little bit, making it look not as nice. So from now on, the way that we're going to work is that you get everything that you need drawn out in pencil. So this is going to go for your main project once you get there. So you get everything drawn out, your graffiti lettering, your background, your visual imagery, all of it done in pencil. And then as soon as you're done with all your pencil work, like you are good to go, you're not going to draw anything else, then you're going to go in and ink everything in with your permanent marker, your thin Sharpie. And then you can start, after you get it inked in and you've gotten rid of all of your pencil marks, graphite, then you can start to use your color, okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm just going over all my pencil marks in my A with my permanent marker, and then I went ahead and already inked out my R to be ready for today. So you guys can go ahead and ink out the R and even the T. Just go ahead and ink it all. All right, so go ahead and do that now. Okay. Everyone should be inking in their letters right now and then erasing out your pencil marks. Okay, so we'll be finishing this today, and I'll be coming around and getting not only a check on this, but also on our approval forms. So our worksheets that still need to be approved, I'll be coming around and doing those also while you guys are finishing this up. Okay, so there's still some people that I see that are just sitting hanging out. You need to be inking in your letters and erasing out your pencil marks. Okay, we'll have grades coming up in 2 weeks. All right, so I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of time. Catch up here. For those of you who are ready, you're going to need your purple colored pencil and your yellow and golden yellow for right now. So I'll just give everyone a few minutes to get all that stuff out and get going. As soon as you're finished inking, set your permanent marker off to the side and then give me your attention. And we shouldn't need any laptops out, so we can put those away. Guys, put your laptops away. All right, also if you don't have your own pack of colored pencils, there's some up on the front table. You need to go ahead and just get the colors that you need. You can't, waiting and sharing colored pencils with other people is going to make it take too long. Okay, and don't worry about trying to catch up on the letter A. You'll have time to work on your own to catch up where you need to. All right, so you need purple and you need yellow and golden yellow. Okay, and you can actually start with your purple first. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start. Okay, so you need your purple colored pencil to begin with.
Purple, then golden.
Yeah, well, just get your purple one for right now. Okay, so what we're going to do is because we only have one purple, we're going to kind of vary our pressure with this one like we worked with in our regular value. So the reason we're going to do pressure use in this one is so we can get variances of lighter purple versus darker purple. Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to work on the underneath sides. So the bottom of the feet and then this little portion right here. And again, when you use your colored pencil, you don't want to use a lot of pressure, okay? So this is about a 2 or a 3. And then I'll be coming in and kind of enhancing it after I get a solid color in there. Okay, so just a nice solid, like 2 or 3 purple on the underneath sides. And then I'm going to come in and enhance some areas once we get those color blocked in. Okay, and so just a reminder for over here, yesterday when we worked in our dark spots, we put our regular green. And then in these lighter areas, we put down a light green first, then we worked red into it. And then we did 7 different color fade here to get a gradual transition between red and yellow. Okay, so yesterday we used red, orange, yellow, orange, burnt orange, golden yellow, and regular yellow. So we're gonna try and do something similar over here today, okay? All right, so these 3 are kind of blocked in with color, and now I'm gonna enhance them a little bit, okay? Because the foot here is overlapping this other one, it's gonna cast kind of a shadow. So what I'm gonna do is around this area, so kind of right on the outside of that line, I'm gonna use a little bit harder pressure on my pencil and then let it fade outwards to give it kind of a cast shadow look. Okay, so that's on the bottom part of the foot on the right-hand side. So just using a little bit harder pressure and letting it fade outwards to give it a little bit darker appearance. Okay? All right. I'm also going to do that kind of same technique here along kind of these crease lines a little bit. So I'm just going to enhance it just a touch, just so I can get a little more depth and definition. So here and here. So basically we're using the same kind of techniques that we used during our regular value practice, and now we're using color pencil instead. Okay? So I got those. Now I'm going to go ahead and block in or color in these 2 areas, but I want to keep it really, really light, a lot lighter than these. So I'm only going to use about a 1 pressure. So I'm getting purple in there, but it's really, really, really light, about a 1. Needs to be a lot lighter than the other 3 areas. And I've got 3 spots where that goes in. Here on the very left-hand side, this inner part of the leg here, and then that middle portion. Okay, so right in here. I'll block that in nice and light. And then I'm going to go through and do some enhancing yet again. So because I'm here in the middle part of the R, I'm just going to go ahead and start there. So I've got it really, really light, got it at a 1. And as it goes down into these little pointy kind of corner, they are going to get darker. And then as they come up into the arch, they get lighter. So I'm going to start here on the left side, and I'm just using harder pressure just to make down into that corner darker than the rest of it. And then as I move upwards, my pressure gets lighter and lighter. So I get a nice gradual fade. Okay, some of you are still kind of struggling with that through our value project. which the value project. Today is the last day for a resubmit. So if you have that before you leave today, you'll need to turn that in with your original rubric and place it on my desk. Okay, so now I'm down here at this corner and I'm using the same kind of technique. Okay, so you guys should be able to see a pretty good fade from down here up into where it gets really light. Almost where you have like a highlight kind of up in this area. So it's darker down here in these corners. Okay. And then with this leg, I'm going to also enhance it just a bit because this is overlapping. So right in here, I'm going to go ahead and drop a cast shadow in there as well. Okay, so just a little bit heavier pressure. There we go. So it's real subtle, but it should be subtle like that. It's dark down here, lighter up at the top. Okay, all these strategies that we're doing here, working through it together, you'll be demonstrating that in your final graffiti project, okay? All right, let's go ahead and switch over to our regular yellow. And we're gonna work in our lighter areas first. Okay, so regular yellow. Got a regular yellow, and I'm gonna start over on the left-hand side, and I'm using it pretty lightly, because my purple's pretty light. So I'm using only about a 2 or 3 pressure. So because that purple is really subtle in there, it's not darkening up the yellow all that much, but that's okay. It's still darkening it up just a little bit. Okay, so just trying to be thorough and filling up that space. Okay, then I'm gonna move and use the yellow within this inner circle, inner shape as well. And you're gonna have to use a little bit harder pressure with this one. More like a 5 or a 6. And that purple should really kind of gray out that yellow, kind of gray or brown it out. Yeah, just like that. Okay, so pretty much a constant 5 or 6 pressure throughout that area. Okay, then I'm gonna finish it up with my regular yellow here on this side. The other spaces we'll use our golden yellow in, so as soon as you're ready, you can move on to that. Okay, so there's my 3 areas where I've got it blocked in. I could come over to this left-hand side and get it just a little bit darker if I want. Kind of your choice. And then for my remaining 3 areas, I'm going to switch over to my golden yellow. And I'll use higher pressure on that too, about a 5 or a 6. Okay, so the golden yellow should give a little bit darker appearance than our regular yellow. Okay. There we go, just like that. All right. Okay, you guys can put your yellows away, keep your purple out, and let's see. Okay, for this one, why don't you go ahead and you have your purple out. Why don't you pull your pink and your magenta. And I think that'll be good. Let's just work with 3 colors for this one. And we're gonna do this one a little bit different. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do this one just a little bit differently. We're still gonna try and achieve kind of like a color fading effect, but we're gonna do it just a touch different than here so that you can start to get the feel of how like full layering of your color pencils will change kind of the look, okay? So with your pink colored pencil, I want you to go ahead and color in the whole R, the whole front face. Do it real nice and light. Okay, so what you're doing is right now you're coloring in the full front face of the R with this pink color. And you're doing it real light, about a 2 or a 3. All right, so you're just filling in this space. And then we're going to be kind of doing some drop shadow work in this one. And just some different blending techniques. All right. Okay, so we've got our base color down, and when you're gonna do drop shadows and you're going to really push your 3-dimensionality on your pieces when you have parts that overlap, go ahead and at the very beginning when you're working with your colored pencils, start establishing those shadows. So what I'm gonna do is, because this T overlaps here in the R, I'm gonna use kind of the same techniques that I was using in darkening up those purple areas. And so I'm going to do that by using just a little bit harder pressure with my pink, but I will be coming in with other colors and enhancing that also. So I'm just going to real softly add in just a touch more pink in these areas where a drop shadow would be cast. Okay, so just a little bit darker. Again, you don't want to press too hard from the get-go or you won't be able to layer up your colored pencils correctly. Okay? All right, so I focused here on this area, so hopefully you guys can see in my screen. Yeah, you can see a little bit more of a darker blush happening there. And I'm also going to do that down here as well because this part, this leg of the R overlaps this one. So I'm going to kind of darken up around that outline as well and let it gradually fade outwards. Okay, so we're doing this to enhance its 3-dimension. Okay? All right. All right. I'm done using the pink pencil, and now I'm going to be moving over to the magenta. Okay. With my magenta pencil, I'm going to use this, about 2/3 of the way up. So I'm going to stop it pretty much like kind of right in this area here. And I'm going to work that to where it blends out. So I'm going to start here at the bottom, and I'm going to go just right on top of the pink that I've already laid down. Use a little bit harder pressure with this one. And then as I move up, when I get to that kind of 2/3 space, so right about here, like right where the T kind of intersects, I'll make it lighter and lighter. Okay, so here's where you're really working at full coverage blending, which is what we did not do in the letter previous. We did a little bit where we kind of worked one color into another, but not anything like this. Okay, so up here in this area, I'm still using that magenta, but I'm really letting it fade out. So I'm going to come in and kind of darken the bottom of this leg just a little bit by using a little more pressure. And then I'm barely touching the page with it up here. Okay, so I'm going to work it up into this area. I'm going to go across, and I'm going to come back down here to the leg, this side of the leg, and I'm going to work that all together. Okay, like this. Okay, so again, where I had those drop shadows, I'm going to enhance them out with this magenta a little bit more. The only one I won't enhance out is this top part here. I'm going to leave that just pink. Okay, so this part of the shadow, I'm going to come in and use my magenta to darken that shadow out. And I'm also going to do that back down here. So I'm using my magenta to darken that drop shadow out. And then I want to get a nice good fade coming out of that. Okay, so I'm really enhancing it there. Okay, there we go. So I enhanced my shadow here and here with my magenta. I left the other one alone with the pink. Okay? All right. Now I'm switching over to purple. Am I moving too fast? A little bit? Huh? No? All right, so once you're finished with magenta, pick up your purple pencil. We're going to switch over to that one. And then we're just going to do the same technique that we just used with our magenta pencil. We're just not going to go up as high. So I'm only going to go maybe about this high, about 1/3 of it with my purple. So down here at the bottom, I really want that purple to show. And it's my last color that I'm going to use anyway. So I'm using, probably about a 5 or a 6 pressure. And really letting that purple work in and through the pinks. The pink and that magenta color. Okay, so now as I get higher and higher with this, I'm going to lessen my pressure more and more. I'm going to kind of color in a different direction so I can get rid of that texture that I've got going on. And then I'm just letting it ever so gradually fade into that magenta and the pink. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here to this leg and do the same thing. Okay, so this letter is a great example. Even though you guys are layering these up, and especially when you're putting this purple on top, you can still see your colors underneath that. So that's what using color pencil and layering and blending, that's what this is all about. Okay? So in your graffiti project, there really should not be any area where you only have one single color. You're going to build them up like this through layering. I'm also going to use my purple here to finish out those cast shadows that I was putting on with the pink and the magenta. And some of you might be noticing that it's starting to build up real waxy if you use too hard of a pressure when you began. Okay, so I'm just being really, really thorough and making sure that I'm really using this purple and really getting it full coverage on the colors that went down before. Okay? So something like that. And then last thing to finish it up is the colorless blender. Okay? So I'm going to start on the sides here with the colorless blender. And that'll get this letter completely finished out. So I'm starting it on my 3D sides first, and then I will move it towards the front face of the R. Okay, so don't forget, use your colorless blender on top of everything. If you've got on the colorless blender itself, if you have some like residual colored pencil on there and it's a different color than what you're about to blend in, you can just go off on the side and kind of just clean it off, and then you can start. Okay, so this letter was a really great example of showing how you can get color depth and color richness by blending and layering more than one color at a time. Okay, so I'm just going around getting everything blended out, especially where I've got all of these 3 layers. Okay. All right. Blend everything out. Okay, just like that. All right, so here's going to be your directions for the letter T. Shh. Okay, I'm going to write them down on my worksheet, and then I'll leave it up on the board for you to be able to follow. So in the T, so I'm going to give you your directions, and then you're going to color it in on your own for the rest of the class. So for the 3D part, I want you to use blue as your base. Hey, Shh. Just give me a second. Let me give you your directions and then you can talk, okay? So use blue as your base like we did with the greens and the purples in the 3D over here, okay? Like green in A and purple in R, okay? So I want you to use blue as your base, and I want you to get your shadow dimensions in there, okay? So you're going to use blue as your base. You're going to, so that's number 1. Step 2 is go over using orange. Okay, so blue to set your dark and your shadows, orange on top of that. And then 3, you're going to show a gradual fade again. And I'll list all the colors that I want to see. So gradual fade. And I don't really care if you guys want to use like this technique for the front part on the T or this technique. Doesn't matter. I'll let you choose. Okay, or if you want to come up with kind of a different coloring combo but use all the same colors that I'm asking for, that's fine. Okay, so the colors I want you to use for this going to be yellow green, green, aqua, light blue, blue, and navy blue. Okay? So I'm going to recap. For your 3D part, you start with blue and you start to set your shadows, just like we did with the greens and we did with the purple. Then you're going to go over that with orange. So you should have kind of variations of dark to light orange in these, okay? Also notice where we designated darker areas versus lighter. So underneath here, and everybody just give a quick look, here, here, and here, you're going to have darker blues, whereas here, here, and here, you're going to have lighter blues. I know. Orange over the top. And then the front part of the T, you do your gradual fade, yellow, green, green, aqua, light blue, blue, and navy blue. You're going to work on that for the rest of the time.